All right, welcome back. We are back at it with village stories today because I didn't do this last week. We had a special episode, quite a few interviews lately, actually. It's been really, really great, and I've thoroughly enjoyed that lately. But that also meant I didn't do as many village stories. So we're back at it today on this Monday. Today we will be talking about the next villages. We are in the letter B's, and we are doing Butte and Cantwell, Alaska, which means today we'll finish with the B villages, and we'll be starting the C's. So here we go. Butte, Alaska. Butte is located just south of Palmer, Alaska, near a popular outdoor adventure area called the Knik Arm. Now, I know Butte as the place where I can go for a nice hike. It's a place called the Bodenburg Butte, which is a geological formation, also known for us common people as a hill. Now, if you climb the Butte, you will be rewarded with a beautiful view at the 900-foot summit, and it is beautiful. From up there, you can see most of the Matsu Valley, but more notable is the view of the Knik Glacier. Now, if you are visiting Alaska and you land in Anchorage, like most people, and you do want that beautiful Alaskan stunning view, this is a good option. You don't have to travel far. It's nearby. The hike is sort of challenging, but most people can do it without all the travel time, and you are rewarded with a beautiful, stunning Alaskan view there on the Butte. It's called the Butte by locals, and that's what I call it too. I love that hike. It's kind of challenging, but not too bad. You climb up a 900-foot hill, and it's beautiful up there, so that's a good one. But the town of Butte lies within a place called the Knik River Public Use Area, which is open to off-road motorized vehicles, hunting, fishing, trapping, target shooting, boating, flying bush planes, horseback riding, biking, hiking, camping, and wildlife viewing. Whew. Now, because of its proximity to Anchorage, the area is often the place that you'll see on, Alaska YouTube videos, or a lot of people will visit Alaska and say, I got to fly an Alaska bush plane and he took me to this beautiful place. Most likely that's the Knik Arm, because it's close by to a very populated area. It is beautiful and stunning. And a lot of those, I visited Alaska and got to see a glacier. Most likely it's the Knik Glacier, and it's this area, which is why it's so popular. It is where the tourists go and the locals go to enjoy the great outdoors. If one of my friends comes to visit and they say, hey, take me on a plane ride, I usually take them up to the Knik. It's a shorter flight, which saves money, and it's really, really beautiful. So very popular to go there. Now, when I fly in there with my plane, I'm almost never alone. It's kind of it can be like a beehive of airplanes in there because of its popularity. There's a lot of airstrips in there. If you want to practice your, off airport stuff, that is where people go. A lot of those videos you'll see on YouTube of people like, I landed on off airport, it's probably up the Knik Arm because of its proximity to the Matsu Valley and Anchorage. That's kind of where everyone goes. So if you've seen those YouTube videos, most likely that's where it is. I think even, what's that musician? Lauren Daigle, that Christian singer, did a music video up there, and you can watch that video. I forget what song it was, but she filmed it there. All right, so also in Butte, Alaska, there's the Alaska Raceway Park, which is a 1/3 mile asphalt track certified for NASCAR races. I've seen this track. It's actually an impressive looking track. There's also a famous Williams Reindeer Farm, which has been featured on the show Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe. I really like that show. There's a moose there who's famous for offering sweet kisses to the ladies, if you like. I'm pretty sure my wife has kissed that moose. It's kind of a local thing. It is a fun place for kids to go. It's kind of a neat place where you can see some caribou and moose and things like that. So that's a neat place. Now, Butte has a substantial agricultural economy. I've been told, and I'm not certain about this, I did a little bit of searching, but from what I hear and what I've been told is that this area was originally homesteaded, which means the government basically gave away the land to people with the expectation that they would farm the land and bring economic and population growth to the area. So these lands are still farmed to this day, and they're doing pretty well as far as I can tell. The population as of 2020 is 3,589 people and has been growing almost every decade since 1960. Now, it's not a very old community. It seems like the first census was 1960. So interestingly, the name Butte, it was actually first called the Bodenburg Butte in 1980. That's what the town was called, the Bodenburg Butte town. But they shortened it to just Butte in 1990. Now, the name Bodenburg comes from the first man to carve out a farm, and his name was John Bodenburg, and he arrived in 1917. John Bodenburg arrived with a small herd of cattle, fording them across the Matanuska River, about where the Palmer Bridge resides today. Now, historically, or like kind of the ancient history of this area, there have been found a scattering of stone tools found on the butte itself, suggesting that this high spot was used as a lookout for hunters looking for traveling game in the area. Now, today the butte is still used as a lookout, but probably less for hunting and more for a place of prayer or celebrating summer solstice or New Year's. There's been yoga classes held up there, but probably most commonly it's just a place for a good family hike. I've hiked it a handful of times, and it is a really nice hike. Here is a really kind of a funny tidbit about Butte. In 1994, a movie called Out of the Wilderness was partially filmed on the Butte. Now, for one scene, they hauled an RV to the top of a cliff on the Butte, and their plan was to push it off the cliff and create a huge explosion at the bottom for the movie. So neighbors and tourists gathered to watch this stunt take place, and then as the RV fell, it exploded with a force much larger than anticipated, and it knocked over the spectators. Now, the movie, the techie guys in the movie, they said, quote, "The pyrotechnics didn't work as planned," they said. "So we ended up with a much bigger fireball than anticipated." So a bit of a whoops there, but I've never seen that movie, but maybe it's worth taking a look at just to see that explosion in the movie. So I thought that was just kind of funny. Butte is home to two churches. One is the Bodenburg Butte Baptist Church and Pioneer Baptist Church. So two Baptist churches there in Butte. And so clearly it is a heavily Baptist community over there. All right, that's all for Butte. Let's talk about Cantwell, Alaska. Cantwell, Alaska. Cantwell is located along the Parks Highway on the west end of the Denali. That's the east end of the Denali National Park. It's also on the Alaska Railroad. Today, the population is 200 people as of 2020, which steadily grew to that number since 1940, which was the first census, and in 1940 to record a population of 17. The earliest inhabitants of this area are believed to be the Atna Athabascans, who trapped, hunted, and fished in the area. Cantwell started as a train stop along the Alaska Railroad, which supported the Valdez Creek mining area. Many indigenous people came from the village of I wrote Tyrone, but I think it's Tyone, to work the mine, the Valdez Creek mine, and they ended up living out their lives in Cantwell. Now, one of these native men was named Ole Nickley. He settled there when the price of fur dropped, and so he turned to the railroad system for work. And he was known as the first person to settle and found Cantwell, Alaska. Now, here's some nerdy stuff that I really love. Nearby Cantwell is a geological formation called the Cantwell Formation. And this formation contains dinosaur tracks, including theropods, hadrosaurs, I think I typed this wrong. Oh, you know how like autocorrect like automatically changes words. I think that's what happened. Hang on. I'm going to pause this and look this up. We're going to get this right. Okay, here we go. I looked it up to make sure I'm pronouncing these right. So you'll have to forgive me if I still butcher it. But all right, dinosaur tracks in the Cantwell Formation near Cantwell, Alaska. Theropods, hadrosaurs, ceratopsians, ankylosaurs, and pterosaurs. Wow, my English is so bad. But and also birds. So lots of dinosaur tracks found there. I absolutely love that kind of stuff. Ever since Jurassic Park came out, I'm so curious about that kind of history. So, needless to say, Cantwell is one of those awesome places. I do have a friend who actually hiked over there and saw. I don't know if it was in this exact formation, but I think there might be other dinosaur tracks in the Denali Park area. But he actually went over there and saw the tracks himself, and he was showing me photos. And so we had some good conversations about that. So there we go. Also in the area are plant fossils, including water lilies, which suggests that the area was a wetland or marsh with ponds and other large standing bodies of water, which my understanding is that's kind of what it is now. But water lilies, fossils, that's pretty cool. So I'm always shocked at, seeing like massive moose walking in my backyard. But I also apparently need to imagine long ago there were dinosaurs walking around here, which is just awesome. I really want to get one day a paleontologist on here to talk about some of that history. All right, so Cantwell, the name Cantwell comes from a man named J.C. Cantwell. He was a military explorer on the steamship, the Nunavik, on the Yukon River between 1899 and 1901. He also did other explorations up the Koak River and along the Bering Sea on the western Alaskan coast. J.C. Cantwell served in World War I and retired from the military in 1920 and lived out his days in California. And he passed away in 1940. Now, the Cantwell Glacier, the Cantwell Creek, and the town of Cantwell are named after him. So one thing I don't fully understand is how these names are chosen. So as far as I can tell, this man didn't really visit this area. And even if he did, it doesn't seem very notable in his bio. So I don't know why they chose, his name for this town. I just don't know why that happens. I don't know how that works. But naming towns after, these military guys is fine. I just don't know how that works. But at any rate, it was named after J.C. Cantwell, an Alaskan explorer. So Cantwell, Alaska is also where an old movie called Lure of the Yukon was filmed in the 1920s. Then later, the 2007 film Into the Wild was also filmed in Cantwell, Alaska. There is also a famous building there known as Igloo City Hotel. You can see this building from the Parks Highway as you drive by. I've seen it many times. It's like this white domed building. And I say white with a little asterisk. It's pretty dirty, so it's kind of dirty white. And you can see it's just covered in windows, and it was designed to be a hotel. However, it never went into business because it failed to meet building codes. It's been passed through several owners who were wanting to get it going as a business, but no one has ever been able to open it. However, it has become sort of a tourist spot. People can pull off there and take pictures. They're saying that it's not even locked anymore, so people are getting inside, and vandals are getting involved, and the building is kind of deteriorating, but it's still a pretty cool thing to see, and you can stop and take a picture. Cantwell is home to Cantwell Bible Church, and I recently met the pastor from there. His name is Andrew and Wendy Johnson. They are very down-to-earth people, just some of those super approachable, sweet folks, well worth the visit to Cantwell Bible Church. All right, that is it for Butte, Alaska, and Cantwell. And, I need to pause real quick and see which towns are next for next week. Hang on, I'm pausing this again. All right, I got it now. Our next two villages are going to be the village of Central. Real easy to pronounce, but the next one is a challenging one. I think it's Russian. The village of Chalkyistik. And both of these villages are located in a similar area in kind of northeastern Alaska. And so next week we'll cover those. Thank you guys for going through these one village at a time so that we can get to know our state just a little bit better. We'll see you next time. We'll talk about Central and Chalkyistik. But stick around because soon more interviews are coming. And so make sure you tune in for those as well. See ya.